I now request Mr. Himanshu Goel to join us on stage for the keynote session. Mr. Goel is the Managing Director, India, Middle East, and Africa in Syniverse Technologies. He holds 27 years of experience in the IT and telecom industry, working for organizations like Juniper, Cisco, Microsoft, IBM, 3Com, and Motorola. Mr. Goel has handled various roles spanning over the organization, including sales, pre-sales of products and services, project management of large telecom projects, and manufacturing operations. Mr. Goel started his career as a core member of a cable TV startup, followed by successful delivery of first HFC and CDMA networks in India, building telecom SI business for IBM India from scratch, rejuvenate public sector business for Microsoft, and turn around global accounts for Cisco. We are honored to have you amongst us, sir. May I now request, sir, to please preside over the keynote session.
The team who asked me to come over, I was asking them, I don't know what possibly I can tell you. You know much more about all the new technologies than I can possibly tell you. I'm a sales guy, so I can talk about sales. I don't know whether you would like to hear about sales. Anyway, you must count yourself very lucky. I was a little boy, and I don't know if you guys read comics, did you? Yes. So we used to read Mandrake and Phantom and all, and there was this particular comic that I can't ever forget. And I must have been about 7, 8 years old. And then, this Mandrake fellow goes to his teacher, who's a magician, and this magician gives him a ball, and it's a magical ball where you could speak into that ball, and that ball would respond back with the answers. And for the next 10, 20, 25 years, that never went away from my head. And guess what? You have the Alexas and the Siris, that you growing up with, and so it's a very interesting age to be, growing up. So congratulations for for that, absolutely. I kept thinking, what could I possibly tell you? And I was just saying, I'm a sales guy, and from a business perspective, you all would be going into corporate world, startup world, or maybe something else that you'd like to do. And so one of the things that I thought, which I found intriguing about 2 years ago, and I thought maybe I'll introduce you to that as well, and it'll probably give you some ideas in terms of how successful businesses are built, how value is created, and once done right, it can go a long way. So you all specialize in telecom, isn't it? Yes, yeah. I've been in telecom for almost 30 years now, and till 2 years back, I didn't know about this little company called Syniverse. And to be honest, it was so intriguing. I worked with all the marquee companies in the in the world: Motorola, IBM, Cisco, Microsoft, and I still found this company to be so intriguing, so interesting. This company is a 30-year-old company, born out of the need to have a central clearing system amongst all the operators in the world to allow people to roam, especially roam with your data, right? So when you move from, let's say, Vodafone in India to AT&T in the US, and your 3G works, your 2G works, you need to have a central system which would allow you to do that, right? Just think about it. And I was, in the industry for 30 years, and I never knew about this company. I didn't even know that such companies exist in the world, to be honest. So I found, I thought maybe introducing Syniverse to you and its business model, what it does, how it does, could be useful to you. Tell me, what do you think? You would? All right, good. So So Syniverse was born out of the need to allow roaming amongst 900 operators, as they stand today. Back then, in early 90s, it was a CDMA network which allowed data roaming. And Syniverse built this clearinghouse, which today clears close to 6.5 petabytes of data every day. We clear close to $15 million amongst these operators. So when you go from India to US and use your phone and come back and pay back to your Indian service providers, your Indian service provider is supposed to pay back to the the American operator whose network you used. And so we enable clearing of financials between these operators on a daily basis. And so we move close to $15 million a day. We are also a processing company which processes close to 4 billion SMSs a day amongst these operators. And there are two kinds of text messages these days, right? One is person to person, which happens between two people. The other is which happens from an application to a person. Like in this panel discussion, we talked about OTP. So that OTP is coming from an application to you and not from a person. So we clear close to 4 billion messages a day. And think about it, all these services are offered to these 900 operators for the last 30 years from a cloud model. We were cloud even before cloud was built. We were collecting data from these operators about people who are roaming, people who are using their phones while roaming, and people who are switching on their phones and not using, using for roaming. We know, where in the world you are, even more than what an operator does, because we also have a signaling network which spans across the world. So we are collecting data for the last 30 years about people who roam. We allow operators to use that data to be able to monetize it, to be able to bill you for that, to be able to offer that service. Just think about it, 900 operators, if they had to connect to every 900 or every other 899 operators, it'll be a network of mammoth proportions, right? So you need to have one single network connecting these 900 people, allowing the the data to move among them. And over the last 30 years, we also built a private network. And somebody asked me, I think it was you, right? You asked me about how this network is built. And so over the last 30 years, we built a network of network of our own, using lease lines of individual operators in each country, and building a very highly secure, built to standards with quality of service to ensure that the data is exchanged amongst operators between our clearinghouse and the operators. We are able to bill them, they are able to bill their customers, all that securely without any data breaches, and in a manner that today we are taking that same network and offering it to the IoT service providers. So these 900 operators are now connected to 7 billion mobile devices in the world, right? Which is almost all the devices, correct? So 7 billion devices connected to 900 operators, all these 900 operators connected to Syniverse on a private network, which means that from a SIM card to the operator, from the operator to Syniverse's private network, and onto maybe an Amazon cloud or an IBM cloud or a Microsoft cloud, without touching internet at all. There is no internet touch point in this whole journey. And so we could enable, we can now enable a highly secure IoT data collection, and just sheer services which you won't think of offering earlier, because there was no way to secure that data connectivity from an IoT device. And I talked about how an IoT device was hacked, and the whole internet almost came down in 2016 October. And you can read up about it on the internet. So what I'm trying to say is that a business model which was very unique then, any service being offered from a cloud is usage-based, correct? Yeah? It didn't exist 30 years back, right? But this company decided to do that. Data monetization was not thought of in those times, but this company decided to do that. This company also decided to start building a private network of their own. Now, think of it. Are you aware that one of the software companies which had a shrink-wrapped software selling model decided to go on cloud? And when you go onto the cloud, what happens? In a shrink-wrapped product sales, you get paid 90% of or 70% of the product upfront, and 30% of the value comes over a period of 3, 4, 5 years as way of AMC. This company decided to switch to cloud. What happens? You get 10% upfront, and you continue to get 10% year on year as the usage continues. That changes your revenue model, your profitability, everything. You could potentially go down as a company when you're trying to switch to these models. Now, so this company, to be able to switch, not Syniverse, but the other company that I'm talking about, went and announced to the Wall Street that we are going to make a switch. So bear with us for the next 3, 4 years while we make the switch and stabilize our revenues and our profitability back to where it was. But during this period, if Wall Street doesn't help us and support us, we will probably shut shop. And so Wall Street took it very seriously. They supported this company, and that company is now fully on cloud model. And there are several companies, some of them I work for, are making this switch right now from on-premise, shrink-wrapped software, hardware, to a cloud model, and they are struggling big time. And these are like $50 billion companies, $100 billion companies. So if you look at the business model that Syniverse built back 30 years back, this business model can continue for the next 10, 20 years. Why? Yeah, but why cloud makes it so different? Something else could have happened instead of cloud, right? 30 years back, they didn't know, right? Make sense? So what made it different is, or rather, let's look at what cloud model does to your business. What cloud does is that you are not selling a product anymore. You are not selling a fridge and and an installation service along with it and an AMC, right? You're not. You are selling an outcome. You are saying that I will deliver a service which you will be able to immediately monetize the way you want to monetize it, right? And that is why, so you moved away from selling a box and a service along with it to a point where from the cloud you are getting an outcome. You're buying an outcome. So this company started 30 years back in a business model which said, I'm going to monetize, or rather, I will have a business model which will allow my customers to buy an outcome, which is every 4 hours, I'll give you the usage bill of a person who's roaming abroad, and you would be able to bill him in his monthly bill or whatever billing mechanism that operator is using. Does it make sense? Did I articulate it well for you? Yeah. So in a nutshell, what I'm trying to tell you is that a business model which is aligned to the customer needs, aligned to customer outcome, it could be very different from what the world is doing right now, could allow you to build a value which can carry on for far longer than you think a typical company exists. And while the telecom market is going through a lot of pain in India and many other countries, they're transitioning from one technology to the other, from one set of users to the other, building models around enterprises and building models around IoT and cloud and all that. Syniverse continues to offer the service in pretty much the same manner without any disruption, right? And continue to provide value to their customer, keeps generating cash year on year, quarter after quarter, and remains successful. And the same model gets extended to IoT tomorrow. Same model get extended to many other opportunities that starts coming our way. For example, there is a big project in the country in India which is called UCC, essentially stopping the unsolicited calls and SMSs that go on to the public, and really giving them, creating a nuisance value. So there is a TRAI initiative to offer a service to block the unsolicited calls and SMSs. The same model that we've been applying for the last 30 years can be applied to this. We've applied the same model to offer MNP services, mobile number portability services in India. So, I just want you to be aware of the fact that a business model aligned to the customer needs and the way customer consumes your services could go a long way in generating value for yourself, for the company, and for your customers year after year, decades after decades. So that was what I wanted to share. I can probably spend the next 5 minutes sharing with you what Syniverse is. So we call ourselves the world's most connected company, primarily because we are probably the only one who are connected with our secure private network to 900 operators. Those 900 operators are connected to 7 billion mobile devices. And guess what is happening with those mobile devices today? Every single business is building a business around those mobile devices, right? Amazon is the world's, the costliest company today. They alongside Apple, they touched $1 trillion market cap, and their entire business model is around mobile, right? So you pick any business, and they're trying to build their business around mobile, and we are the ones who are connected to the whole world, pretty much to every single device that you can think of, which is on mobile. We are global, connected to 7 billion devices. We have our own 39 data centers, and we are moving into Amazon and Microsoft Azure and the others. And we are small. We are about 2,200 people globally. So not a huge company from that perspective. We serve about top 97 operators out of 100. Almost all large OTT take services from us in some form or fashion. This is what we do. Essentially, I won't bore you with details, but essentially this is our cloud model. We offer about 90-odd products through the cloud, and that has been operational for the last 30 years, and we've been modernizing it every inch of the way. huge solution portfolio, essentially 4 buckets of partnership with operators and enterprises, one around roaming, the second about messaging, third about connecting brands to consumers through a variety of services, text message being one, and of course, our global secure access system, which is now getting extended to offer IoT security. So that's about it. We serve about 1,500 customers, and it's not a big list, but almost every brand that you can think of, from MasterCard to American Express to Amazon to many others, and of course all the operators in the world are our customers, and that's pretty much it. Any questions? Well, thank you very much. Thanks a lot for inviting me. It was a great pleasure coming here. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. That was indeed an informative session which left the audience enthralled and filled with exhilarating energy.
Ladies and gentlemen, this brings us to the end of day 1 of Communiqué 2018, the 8th International Telecom Seminar. Hope the discussions triggered you and encouraged you to assimilate new knowledge and fresh perspectives. And as they say, to meet and part is a way of life. To part and meet is the hope of life. We look forward to welcome you tomorrow again to another round of stimulating discussions and engaging sessions. On behalf of Symbiosis Institute of Telecom Management, we thank you and wish you all a wonderful evening ahead.